Well, whenever a global power steps back, there's another global power that is ready to step forward. For decades, the United States dominated diplomacy in the whole West Asia. But today, China wants a seat at that particular table too. Unlike America, China rarely sends troops into the regional conflicts here. Instead, Beijing sends diplomats. They send trade agreements, they send military infrastructure, they send economic partnership. In fact, during talks in Beijing, Chinese Foreign Minister Mr. Wang Yi, he met Saudi Foreign Minister Mr. Prince Faisal bin Farhan and urged all the sides to continue dialogue between the United States and Iran. Here, Mr. Wang, he repeated China's position that talking is better than fighting and said that Beijing was willing to work with Saudi Arabia to reduce tension and promote long-term peace in that violent region. And now, at first glance, these comments may sound very simple, diplomatic, but they reveal something much bigger here. China imports a significant amount of its oil from the Gulf region. Peace in the West Asia is directly linked to China's economic growth, and any disruption in energy supplies that affects factories, it affects the industries, global trade, and that is why Beijing has invested billions of dollars across the Gulf through its Belt and Road Initiative. Unlike Washington here, which maintains military bases across the region, China is kind of trying to expand its own influence through investment, diplomacy, and economic cooperation. In the meantime, many experts believe that the whole West Asia has now become another battlefield in a global competition between America and China. Only this battle is not being fought with fighter jets this time. It is fought with diplomacy, it is fought with infrastructure, and a lot of influence. Here, China wants to be seen as a country that helps solve the conflict. Now, whether the world accepts that role, that remains to be seen. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The geopolitical map of West Asia is definitely changing faster than ever before. And yes, while China is trying to build trust with foreign governments, another debate is unfolding inside Washington itself. For decades, one relationship defined America's presence in West Asia: the partnership between Washington and Riyadh. Whenever there was a regional crisis, it was Saudi Arabia and the United States that were usually seen standing together. American troops were stationed in the kingdom. In fact, defense cooperation expanded years after years. Saudi Arabia purchased billions of dollars worth of American military equipment. And together, both the nations tried to maintain stability across one of the world's most sensitive regions. Well, today, look what happened. Reports suggest that this particular relationship may be entering a new phase. That's right, according to reports, the Trump administration planned Operation Project Freedom, right? A mission designed to escort commercial ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz after the tensions with Iran increased. However, Saudi Arabia reportedly refused to allow American forces to use its airspace and military bases for the particular operation. Well, the reports further claims that Washington even considered withholding important missile interception system before both the nations eventually reduced the tension. In the meantime, US officials, they are also reportedly reviewing whether to reduce some military assets inside Saudi Arabia or not. Can you now think why this matters? The Strait of Hormuz, that is not just another shipping lane. In fact, it is one of the world's most important energy lifeline. Nearly 20% of global oil passes through this particular narrow stretch of water every single day. If something disrupts shipping over there, the impact is felt everywhere, from petrol pumps to India, from petrol pumps in India to factories in Europe and financial markets in America. And that is why every military moment around Hormuz, that immediately becomes global news. In fact, reports suggest that Saudi Arabia feared that another major military operation against Iran could increase instability instead of reducing it. Over the past few years, Riyadh has slowly improved relationship with Tehran after years of rivalry here. And at the very same time, Saudi Arabia has expanded economic ties with China while continuing its defense partnership with the United States here. Well, in other words, Saudi Arabia is no longer depending on only one global power. It is trying to maintain relationships with everyone. And that reflects a much bigger change that is taking place across West Asia. Countries are no longer choosing sides as easily as they once did. Instead, they are protecting their own economic interests, regional stability, and long term national goals here. And if these reports are actually accurate, then they signal something important here. America's traditional allies are becoming more independent, and that changes the whole geopolitical equation for every single person. But while Washington and Riyadh, both the nations, were reportedly disagreeing behind the closed doors, another superpower quietly entered the whole conversation.